On behalf of the Human Journey Colloquial Series and the Office of Mission and Culture, we welcome you to our annual Kristallnacht commemoration. I'd like to thank Matt Cimino for the beautiful rendition for the Prelude, and also special thanks to Amy Neville and Francis Organti from the Office of Mission and Culture to ensure this commemoration takes place this year, as well as Dr. Loris from Catholic Studies. This commemoration has taken place here at Sacred Heart University since 2012. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. John Patillo, President of Sacred Heart University, to offer a welcome, who has been so instrumental in our university advancing interfaith and ecumenical dialogue over the past decade and a half. Dr. Patillo.
One autumn evening, a Jewish shopkeeper in Berlin placed his 7-year-old daughter to bed beneath the comforting glow of their living room lamp. By dawn, that same lamp flickered over shattered glass, looted shelves, and the silence that would echo through generations. That night, November 9th, 1938, became known as Kristallnacht, the night of the broken glass, when synagogues burned, businesses were destroyed, and Jewish neighbors were hunted and humiliated in the streets. But the story of Kristallnacht is not only historical or about broken windows. It's about broken humanity. It's the story of hatred, once tolerated, becomes normalized. How prejudice, left unchecked, becomes policy. And how silence, chosen in comfort, becomes complicity. As we remember today, we are called to see not only what happened, but how it happened. The seeds of violence were sown in whispers of disdain, in jokes at another's expense, in the refusal to see the other as fully human. Sound familiar? Days like today are precisely to remember past horrors, as well as to remind us of our individual obligations. Our remembrance must therefore be an act of moral awakening. It asks us to speak when speech is too costly, to stand beside the marginalized, and to guard the fragile light of human dignity. When we remember Kristallnacht, we do not only mourn what was destroyed, we renew our promise to ensure that such darkness never finds a home again. Let our memory be alive, our conscience awake, and our hearts steadfast in the work of justice and compassion. Otherwise, we live a lie being here at this university.
Sorry, y'all, I'm a little short. Alrighty. So hello all and happy Wednesday. My name is Shanoa Manso and I serve as the Graduate Assistant for the Office of Mission and Culture. It is with great honor to speak on behalf of the Sacred Heart students today. I would like to thank you, Dr. P., for continuing this program, as it is a great privilege to be a part of. I would also like to welcome Rabbi Marcelo Cormis, as well as all you students here today. Today, we gather not only to remember, but to feel the weight of history, the pain of loss, and the resilience of the Jewish community. In the face of unimaginable tragedy, this commemoration reminds us of the importance of memory. We come together to reflect, to honor those affected, and to ensure that the lessons of the past are never forgotten. Because when we remember, we reaffirm our shared responsibility to stand against hatred, prejudice, and injustice, so that history never repeats itself. So, thank you all for being here today to remember, to reflect, and to stand united in hope and remembrance.
Today I'll be sharing the reading Silence. We begin with silence, the silence of death, the silence after destruction. There are times when songs falter, when darkness fills life, when martyrdom becomes constellation of faith against the unrelieved black of space about us. There are no words to teach beyond the edge of night, no messenger to tell us the full tale. There is only silence, the silence of Job, the silence of 6 million, the silence of memory. Let us remember them as we link our silences.
Good afternoon. Dr. Chris Kelly is ill and cannot be with us today, so I was asked to give the introduction of our speaker. So I welcome you to our annual Kristallnacht commemoration on behalf of the Department of Theology and Religious Studies and Mission and Culture, where I hang out. I'm honored to introduce our speaker today. He's a valued member of our affiliate faculty and an old friend of mine. Now, a disclaimer. Y'all know that I hail from the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, where English sounds a bit different than it does here in Yankee country. Well, if you think that's bad, wait till you hear my Spanish. So I ask forgiveness from our speaker as I butcher my way through all the titles and places he has lived and worked and been a place of wonder. Rabbi Marcelo Cormis hails from Chile, I did get that right, where he began his formal education at the Instituto Hebreo of Santiago. Before traveling to Argentina to pursue rabbinical studies, oh, here it goes again, Seminario Rabbinico Marshall Meyer in Buenos Aires. At the same time, Rabbi Cormis completed a bachelor's degree in Bible and Jewish philosophy at the University of Haifa in Israel. He also graduated from the Senior Educators Program from Hebrew University and completed a master's in Jewish studies at the Institute in Jerusalem. In 2003, he was ordained officially as a rabbi because he didn't have quite enough education. After ordination, he returned to Chile and served as the head of the Judaic Studies Department and later as rabbi of the Círculo Israelita de Santiago. 2012, Marcelo and his family moved to Connecticut, where he began blessing all of us. He served for 9 years at a congregation Bethel in Fairfield. He accepted the position of chaplain of the Fairfield Police Department and the one we love, our Jewish chaplain here at Sacred Heart, where he implemented several interfaith initiatives for students and faculty, including his popular "An imam, a priest, and a rabbi walk into." It's still recorded weekly and available. In 2019, he started teaching for Sacred Heart and quickly gained a reputation among the student body for enthusiasm, clarity, and concern. 2021, the Cormus family returned to Chile, but Marcelo continued to teach at various institutions, both in person and because of the wonders of the internet here at SHU, where his courses in Judaism and the Hebrew Bible and human rights continue to be amongst the very first to fill up during registration. See, students think if he's not here, he can't be hard. Oh, friends, don't test him. Now, all of this is wonderful and good, but we also need to acknowledge the most important thing to him is his loving family. His wife, Fernanda, his two sons, Michael and Ari, his two daughters, Leah and Clara. And so without ado, please join me in welcoming my friend and my esteemed colleague, Rabbi Marcelo Cormus. Welcome home. Oh, my Spanish. Oh, I'm so sorry.
You did great. I'll try to speak in a Kentucky accent now. Good afternoon. Thank you for the honor of speaking with you today. 87 years ago, on the night of November 9th, 1938, Kristallnacht, the night of the broken glass, synagogues across Germany and Austria were set on fire. Jewish businesses were smashed and looted, Torah scrolls were desecrated, and thousands of Jewish men were arrested and sent to concentration camps. What many hoped were isolated incidents were revealed as a coordinated assault on a people, a culture, and a religion. Today we gather to remember. Today we gather to ask a demanding question. What does courage sound like when history is breaking? What does responsibility look like when silence is safer? Our theme for this year's commemoration is Echoes of Courage, from bystanders to upstanders. The word echoes matters. Courage spoken in one moment can reverberate into another. So today, let us listen to those echoes and add our own voices. In education and human rights work, we often use two important terms. A bystander is a person who witnesses harm and does nothing. An upstander is someone who, in a safe and effective way, interrupts harm, supports those targeted, and helps change the conditions so the harm does not continue. Upstanders are not necessarily heroes in the cinematic sense. They are ordinary people who choose one well-placed action over comfortable silence. Those choices, multiplied, can alter dramatically the course of events. 5 years ago, I had the honor to speak here at Sacred Heart for Kristallnacht. Then I shared my family's story living in Berlin, Germany. I shared with you the persecution and the difficulties they endured and how they managed to escape to Chile, where they finally rebuilt their lives. Today, I want to share with you 3 stories about people who chose to act. One story during Kristallnacht and 2 other stories during the Holocaust. The first story is about Wilhelm Krustfeld. On Kristallnacht, mobs converged on the new synagogue on Oranienburger Strasse, a magnificent building, a center of Jewish prayer and music. The attackers had fire, the city had orders, and yet one person made a different decision. Wilhelm Krustfeld, a police commander, arrived and did something astonishing. He invoked a preservation law protecting historic buildings, ordered the crowd to disperse, and demanded that the fire brigade do its job. That night, the new synagogue was not consumed because a man with a badge used the authority he had when it really mattered. What do we learn from his heroic act? That the tools you already hold, knowledge of a policy, the credibility of a role, the ability to call for help, can become instruments of moral courage. Krustfeld safeguarded one place, one night, with the levers available to him. And that is upstanding. Now pay attention to the second story. 2 years later, in 1940, another echo of courage came from Kaunas, Lithuania. Shiuni Sugihara, the Japanese vice consul, was approached by Jewish refugees desperate to escape Europe. Official directives told him to be restrictive. His conscience told him that he must save those lives. Sugihara sat down with his wife and began to handwrite transit visas, thousands of them, day after day, night after night. Families carried those papers across borders and onto trains, ships, and ultimately to life. Sugihara paid a price in his career, but his signature became a lifeline for thousands of people. What do we learn from his heroic act? That upstanding is not always a speech or a slogan. Sometimes it's a pen, a paper, a form, system by system, turning a door that was supposed to be locked into a door that opens wide. And that is upstanding. The third story takes also place in 1940. Varian Fry, an American journalist, arrived in Marseille with a short list of endangered artists and intellectuals and a small sum of money, expecting it to be a very brief trip to save only a number of people. What he found were lines of refugees with no way out. So he stayed. He rented a modest office and a safe house, assembled a small team, and built escape routes to trains over the Pyrenees and then to Lisbon, Portugal. With consular allies and volunteers, he arranged papers, crafted cover stories, and moved people quietly but steadily. Painters, writers, scholars, and families carried those documents to safety because a journalist decided his pen could also be a lifeline. What do we learn from his heroic act? That upstanding can be organized, can be a network, a desk, a doorbell, a ledger of names, a plan for tomorrow. It is patient courage under pressure, turning a maze into a path and a no into a yes. Varian Fry saved lives with teamwork, logistics, and stubborn hope, and that is upstanding. Kristallnacht was not spontaneous chaos. It was organized, with police often facilitating arrests and firefighters told to protect non-Jewish property, while synagogues and Jewish businesses were all set on fire. Systems can be weaponized, but systems can also be redirected by the people inside them. There is a deep and powerful lesson here. Institutional upstanding matters. My friends, memory is a mirror. Around the world and on campuses around the country, we have seen a serious rise in anti-Semitic incidents, alongside spikes in other hatreds. Faculty, staff, students are navigating intense debates, grief, fear, and sometimes targeted harassment. We're fortunate to belong to the Sacred Heart University community. Here, people of different backgrounds, faith, ethnicities, languages, and life stories learn, teach, research, and serve side by side. That diversity is our strength. It asks of us not uniformity but respect, not silence but responsible speech, not suspicion but curiosity and care for each other. Responsibility is shared. Leaders at every level are charged with creating an atmosphere free of discrimination and harassment. All of us are responsible for respecting the rights of our colleagues and classmates and for building the kind of daily culture where every person's dignity is respected and protected. This is who we are at Sacred Heart, an inclusive, diverse, and respectful university where differences are met with dignity and disagreements are conducted without dehumanization. Policies alone do not make it real. People do. When we greet one another with respect, when we refuse hatred, when we intervene to protect the vulnerable, and when we use the reporting channels that exist, we honor the best of our beloved university. In a world too ready to divide, let our campus be a sign of what community can look like, firm in its standards, generous in its welcome, and faithful to the dignity of every person. On a personal level, I'm thankful and proud to belong to the Sacred Heart community. As a Jewish, Latin American rabbi and educator, I've seen SHU at its best, inclusive, diverse, and genuinely respectful, a place where conviction and curiosity can stand side by side. That experience of belonging deepens my responsibility to safeguard the dignity of every student and colleague. Our differences are not walls to be defended. They are bridges that are to be built, and they are bridges that really unite us. Many of us feel passionate about humanitarian work. The people we spoke about today, Krastfeld, Sugihara, Fry, were not superhuman. They were individuals who infused moral clarity to their lives. So today, before this day of Kristallnacht ends, I would like to invite you to ask yourself 3 questions. The first one: what tools do you already have to fight hatred, discrimination, and prejudice? Not extraordinary tools, ordinary ones, but used with moral clarity. Your voice, your silence, your attention, your learning, your pen, your keyboard, the trust others place in you, your presence in a room. That's courage that could be turned into tools of care. The second question: who can you partner with to foster a more supportive and inclusive campus? Reach beyond your circle. Invite someone who thinks differently, someone you respect, but you do not necessarily agree with, someone you do not yet know. Differences widens vision. Unfamiliar partners widen reach and converts conviction into shared action. And my third question for us today is: what one action will you take this month? Select one act of repair that is within your reach. mend a broken relationship, stand beside someone who is isolated, speak up in the face of injustice, because silence is not neutral. Let it be a small, concrete, and repeated act of repair for its constancy that reshapes the world. Think back to those 3 moments. On Oranienbergstrasse, a synagogue stood because one man used the law instead of looking away. In Kaunas, a diplomat's signature became safe passage. In Marseille, a journalist assembled a small team and built escape routes for over 2,000 people. 3 different people, 3 different places, 3 different tools, but one same echo. I will not be a bystander. Today, let us add our voice to that echo. Name one tool that you already have. Choose one partner beyond your circle. Promise one action of repair for this month. When we act, we carry memory forward as a calling that clarifies us. The windows broken on Kristallnacht remind us how fragile our world can be. The choices of Creutzfeldt, Sugihara, and Fry remind us how transformative a single act can be. May we be worthy guardians of memory and courageous makers of future, moving each one of us from bystanders to upstanders, from silence to responsibility, and from fear to dignity. Thank you.
Please rise for the lighting of memorial candles and remain standing for the memorial prayer.
מלא רחמים, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע, מה זה לנשמות אחינו ואחיותינו בני ישראל הקדושים וטהורים שנהרגו ונשרפו ונחקנו והוכו באותו ליל של שנאה תמיד ליל הקריסטלנאכט נעל קידוש השם הגדול הנורא, אנחנו מתפללים לעילוי נשמתם בגן עדן, בגן עדן. בגן עדן תהי מנוחתם. לכן בעל הרחמים יסתירם בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. ויצרור מצרור החיים את נשמתם. אדוני הוא נחלתם ינוחו ושלום על משכבם ונאמר אמן.
You can take a seat. My name is Rabbi Sarah Marion, and I am the Jewish chaplain here at Sacred Heart University. Anyone who has ever meandered through the cobblestone streets of Berlin might recall the small, square-shaped 10 by 10 centimeter bronze plaques that are frequently underfoot, embedded within the city's narrow walkways and passages. Each bronze square bears a name, a date of birth, a date of deportation, and, if known, a date of death. These commemorative bronze plaques, called the Stolperstein or stumbling stones, eternalize the victims of the Nazi regime. The plaques are set into the pavement by the homes of those who were taken and murdered. Each plaque deliberately and thoughtfully placed at the last known address of the individual that it memorializes. In Berlin, more than 5,000 of these bronze squares have been carefully implanted into the city's sidewalks and streets, and more than 45,000 of them are now scattered throughout Europe, forming the largest Holocaust memorial in the world. Because they lie flat against the earth, nestled among ordinary stones, the Stolperstein are so easy to overlook. People pass by them every day, rushing to work, carrying groceries, walking their dogs. And yet, when the sun beams down onto one of those squares at just the right angle, the bronze metal shimmers and sparkles, sending flickers of light up to the corners of our eyes. And for a moment, passers-by, they halt their steps, they look down, and they remember. As the sun illuminates their memories, we hear their voices calling out softly from beneath our feet. Don't forget us. Don't be silent. Don't walk by if ever this should happen again. The Stolperstein, in their quiet and unassuming way, ask something of us. They ask us to pause, to let ourselves stumble over the truth of what happened, and then to decide how we will live in response. This is what it means to be an upstander. As we heard today, being an upstander begins with that pause, with that noticing, with that willingness to resist the pull of distraction and the comfort of looking away. It begins with the courage to look and to listen even when silence would be easier, even when walking by and continuing on would be more comfortable, even when we'd prefer for somebody else to stop and step up instead. And perhaps most crucially, being an upstander means speaking out and showing up for those who need us most. It means bringing light to what hatred so desperately tries to hide. It is the daily choice to affirm another person's dignity, another person's humanity, and to do everything within our power to protect it. Being an upstander is a way of living that we carry with us into every interaction, every decision, and every step we take. I want to thank Rabbi Cormus for sharing and for reiterating these important messages with us today. Thank you, Rabbi, for helping us to remember what was and for inspiring us to carry the lessons of the past into the present and into the future. I pray that we take these lessons with us as we go about our days, letting them shape the way we see, the way we speak, the way we act, so that we too may always stand firmly for what is right and what is just. On this day, as we remember the fires that burned synagogues and homes and the broken shards that once littered the streets, we remember what happens when too many people look away, when too many choose indifference over empathy, comfort over courage, silence over saying what needs to be said. But even after the Kristallnacht destruction, still there was light. There was the defiant light of courage and compassion and hope that could not and would not be extinguished. Today we see that light reflecting off those glittering bronze stones, lovingly holding the memories of those who perished, while imploring us to always remember our history, lest it ever happen again. And today that light shines here, in this holy chapel, and at this sacred university, where we partner across faith lines and nurture cross-racial dialogue, understanding, and respect. Because hope grows through our refusal to look away from one another's suffering. Because history will repeat itself unless my pain becomes your pain and your pain becomes mine. And so as we continue forward together, may we always be the ones who do not walk by. May we be the ones who stop, who see, who speak, who stand. May we be the ones who stumble and then rise to do what we know is right.
It is indeed good and pleasant when we are all together in unity. The annual Kristallnacht commemoration has now formally concluded. We invite you all to continue to live lives of compassion and courage, suffering with others, and becoming from bystanders to upstanders. We invite you all to join us in the Chapel Narthex for a reception. Thank you all again for being here, and special thanks too to Howard Stahl for coming from New Jersey, the senior cantor emeritus there, for a beautiful memorial prayer. Thank you all, and hope to see you at the reception.